You might think this is a window. It's not. It's a skyline.
Yeah, me and my family.
Don't get distracted.
Me and my family live right down this block, and then my side live over here.
Right.
And then my ex-wife, she lived on that block.
I'll be
Over
chilling.
there? I bought a building over there.
I'll be chilling on this corner right
You know
here.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's still selling drugs in the corner.
Over there on the corner.
Yeah, so pull up, post up, nigga, get your drugs from Prestigious. Anyway. Welcome back, Post Up Crew. You know what I'm saying? We in Studio B right now. This is our second studio location. You know, we making big moves. Got the skyline in the background. You know what I'm saying? We just watched Sorry to Bother You. I think it just released on DVD.
On DVD and Blu-ray like 2 weeks ago.
Blu-ray. It came out in the movie theaters, but we weren't running the show then, so we didn't get a chance to, you know what I'm saying, watch it. So we're gonna do a quick little review. We're gonna do it just like we did the other review. Go over our basic thoughts, no spoilers.
Definitely buy it. It's one of those movies that that people aren't really gonna talk about. But it's definitely a good watch. It's one of those underrated movies. A lot of messages, a lot of symbolism, which movies nowadays don't really have that. So that's great. Keeps you on your toes. You know, you always gotta be like, what does this mean? I like that. I like movies that make you think. But yeah, definitely, I recommend that. 2 thumbs up.
Little backstory. My daughter was born around the same time that this movie came out, so I was unable to see it in theaters. So I was like very excited to go buy it. I went everywhere in town. Nobody had a copy. I even went on the websites like Target.com, said 1 copy in store. Didn't find it, so I had to order online. So I was a week late to the party. But when I seen it, the best thing I could say without spoiler free, because when I posted it on Instagram, somebody actually did hit me up and was like, yo, could you give me a little review of it, like without spoiling it, because I want to know if I want to watch it. And I told him basically it's like if the creators of Atlanta and the creators of Rick and Morty did some acid and had to rewrite They Live, this is that movie. And like I said, like I bought it myself, so I recommend like if you don't want to buy it, at least see it one time, because like it is like as they would say, like a cult classic. But like there's very little cult classic movies with mainly black cast, so this is like also very special for people like us.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. I was surprised. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it was. It ran a little long for me, but you know what I'm saying, it's one of those. It was definitely a good first watch. Like definitely a good first watch. Bring out like a party or something if people haven't seen it. And it's definitely a talking piece. We're going to get into the details later on in the video, but it's definitely a lot of talking points. Real strong acting from just about everybody involved. I couldn't find...
There was no weak performance.
Huh?
There was no weak performance.
Yeah, there wasn't really weak performances. Some actors I would have liked to have more screen time, but then, that's kind of contradictory of me, like, being that it was a little too long. So I guess I'm assuming that they had more stuff and they probably cut it. But I like the way it was cut. All the actors got to shine, well, except for a couple actors, but most of them.
The main actors got their shine.
Yeah, they did great performances. Story was good. Visually, it was a really well produced and visual movie. Like what I'm saying, with the cuts and everything and the different transitions. Like it was dope. Like all that was dope. Real artsy. Like art people are gonna love this movie and pick it apart and all the art references. I don't know a lot of the art references, but I know anytime that they were trying to give us information on art, it was real specific. So I'm sure the artsy people will like it. But yeah, it was a good DVD, you know what I'm saying? I bootlegged it at first, but I would buy it. You know what I'm saying? He bought the copy, obviously. I kind of wish I would have bought the copy because it was definitely worth... Well, I kind of wish I would have seen it in the movie theaters.
It was worth supporting at the very least.
Yeah, so if they're still doing, because I know they do limited releases too. So if they're still doing it in the movie theater, you should go see it. It wasn't predictable at all. It didn't go any of the places that I thought it was going, and even the places where I thought it was going, it veered off that shit
still
real
went
quick.
A different direction.
Yeah, it went super left from where it was going. So yeah, you're definitely gonna be surprised. It's a good time. So just go watch it. You know what I'm saying? Go watch it. And if you haven't watched it, we're about to get into the spoilers, break down the movie. You know what I'm saying? So go buy it on Blu-ray, go to the movies if it's still playing, watch it, and come back. You know what I'm saying? And we'll be here to discuss the spoilers part. All right?
Yeah, first thing I noticed was the work and self-worth. Like the main character, Cassius Green, which is Cash is Green. So yeah, work and self-worth. Like once he started getting good at his job, he was like, yeah, I finally feel good about myself and this and that. Like he started feeling himself, and you know, I feel like that happens to a lot of people. Work is how they define themselves, and there's how they're successful. You know, how they feel about themselves. So that's something I noticed. And then how he sold out too, like, you know, because unfortunately a lot of people got bills to pay and all that stuff. So once they give you that money, then you're like, you know what, friends? What? Forget friends. Like, what you talking about? Nah, that money, that's what I need. I need to get this rent paid. He was behind 4 months. So it shows you how some people like sell out. They don't care about morals. They just wherever the money's coming from, that's what they're gonna do. Like, it's just money is unfortunately a lot of people don't even have a choice. Like he didn't have a choice really. He was about to lose where he slept at. He was 4 months late on rent. He had to take that money.
Yeah, well, also he lived in his uncle's garage, so you gotta remember it wasn't just him. Like his uncle was losing the house.
Yeah.
So when he sold out, he was actually helping his family out,
exactly.
like what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Like they take the money because they're trying to help their family.
Right.
Well, go ahead.
It wasn't selfish.
Yeah, it wasn't really selfish.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, but even with that, I feel like at a certain point you gotta like draw the line too. You know, like which he did at the end. Once he seen what he was doing, he finally was like, he got a Kanye moment where he was like, I think I've been used all this time. It also showed like white voices, like that was really big for me because it showed you like I feel like at work I gotta do the same thing. I gotta like talk very professional and make sure I pronounce every single letter, every single word in order to, you know, maintain this image and be able to climb and, you know, get promoted and stuff like that. I feel like that's a big thing.
Like Mr. Blake told him, he's like, as soon as he stepped off the elevator, he's like, He's like,
yeah,
white voice at all times up here. The only time Mr. Blake did not use, by the way, like everybody knows, like Omari Hardwick from, you know, Power, like that's what he's most known for being Ghost. He did not have his voice, his regular voice, throughout the entire movie until the point when he talked to him face to face. He's like, listen, go down to the door or whatever, and this is a good opportunity. Like, you know, you are my best, like, choice. Whatever he said. That's the only time he used his regular voice. His I guess you could say, didn't use his white voice.
Yeah.
Which is usually, you know, everybody has that person at your job, that like old head that's telling you like, yo, you want to be successful here.
Exactly.
This is what you gotta do. You gotta blah blah blah.
But
There's
also,
always that one dude.
Also, Danny Glover was that guy too, but he was telling him too. He's the one who put him on. He's like, listen, he's like, I know you want to get up there, but I'm putting you on how to make money on this ground. This is where you want to be. You don't want to be what they're doing because like they're selling slave labor. Like that's what he said. Like it's apples to the Holocaust.
That's what I'm saying. There's always two dudes.
There's
the Danny Glover dude. That's giving you the game, like how to survive.
How to just
then
make it by. Then
there's the dude that's right under the boss. You know, the
who
ass
wants
kisser.
to like help you.
That's telling you like,
ahead.
yo, man. You know what I'm saying? There ain't that many black people up here where we at. So you got to chuck and jive and do what you got to do.
It also touched on like viral, like things that are viral, like the Coke with the
when the girl threw the Coke can at his head and it became a meme.
That became viral. That was the big thing everyone was worried about. Nobody cared about.
You notice that girl was the one in the beginning of the movie where she was like, yeah, they're selling slave labor, blah blah, on the news. Remember I told you like pay attention to like the stuff on the TV? That was the girl who threw the Coke can at her, but she sold out. She became like a the Catch Me Outside girl, whatever. Like
they needed somebody to be able to control those horseman people or whatever. So I feel like this happens in work everywhere. Like at the top they have some sort of demand and they have to like seek it out. And they have to start from the bottom, and they're like, all right, so we'll start here at the bottom. All right, this guy, like they knew that he needed the money. They knew that he was easy to manipulate. They were like, this is our guy. Boom, we'll bump him up to this next stage. show him money. If he bites that, if he's like, okay, yeah, I like this, I'm with this, even though it was really against his morals, but he needed that money because that's why he was hesitant until he seen the check. That's what companies want. They want somebody that's easily manipulated, that'll do whatever it takes. Like they put their morals aside just for that check.
Under the guise that you're working hard, like, because that's what they selling. They selling, we want you to work hard, for the what you're really doing is working hard for them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what they do that at every job. Every job, there's always that one guy that's on the floor that's like, yo, we gotta work this overtime, this and this and that. And it's like, bro, like, I want to get home to my family. I want to get home to my kids. Like, there's more important things.
Even remember, like, he first became the power caller. What happened? Going back to what you were saying, he was supposed to pick up his girl. She was sitting there on the side of the road, and ended up her friend picked her up.
Right.
Because, like, now you're working overtime. Like, you're getting the big bucks, so you're gonna have to stay here a little bit later. Now you're gonna have to, like, sacrifice your home life. So now he usually picks his girl up from work, and she's sitting there on the side of the road, like, what the fuck? Like, where are you?
Worry free.
That's
really something that
it seems like it could happen.
It seems like it could happen. Yeah. Like, people that like me, like, it's hard to pay rent. You telling me I can work at some place and they're gonna pay for my rent? I'm gonna live there, and so I can save that money, and
they're gonna give you food.
And they're gonna give me food. Like, come on, that sounds perfect. But it's I feel like that's something that could happen. It actually might happen, to be honest. The way things go,
it is happening. It's called prison.
It was very like
it was kind of like
that's literally what it is.
It was kind of like a critique on privatized prisons, where, like, you're working, but you're in the prison cell and you're getting fed and everything like that, but you're working, like, for a corporation.
For me, the movie had a lot of imagery, especially stuff that's going on right now when it comes to, like, unions, labor, fair wages, shit like that. Like, the whole union section of the movie, which is kind of like the second half. It bubbles throughout the first half of the movie, but it's really the second half of the movie. It's like a subplot. Well, no,
it's a main plot in the beginning, but it's also a subplot. It starts off
what a normal movie would start off and be like a subplot that just fizzles in the background. Mm-hmm. The union subplot.
Oh yeah, it got bigger.
It got real, and that's why I liked about this movie was that the trailer made it seem like it was just going to be about a guy who's using his white voice to get money, and it kind of goes into like the Wolf of Wall Street section where he's getting money, he's getting power, you think you're gonna be fucking white bitches and stuff like that. But the whole movie really shifts, and it really shifts to, like, labor. The movie is really about labor and not being, not being represented and not being given a fair wage, and the whole union. Me being part of the union, like, I recognize all of that stuff. Like, in my particular case, they knew I had a lot of influence in the job. So as soon as I became a union member, you know what the first thing they offered me is? Supervisor. Out the blue. I've been there 5 years. You've never offered me supervisor. I become a union member. Now, I become a union leader. Now they're like, yo, you want to get some extra money?
You're the guy
you want to move up? You want to move up? Yo, you should really, you don't need to be, they was telling me this, you don't need to be down here with, working on the floor. You should be up there with us. Why? Because they know if I get up in there and then people have problems, they could come to me and I could be like, nah, it's not that serious. They wanted me to be that character. So that whole part of the movie where it shifts from it being like about him and then it shifts to like the labor union part of it, I thought that was real dope. And like, who you guys said that, who wrote this? What's his name?
Oh, Boots Riley.
Yeah, Boots Riley really is aware of how unions are being represented, workers and all that stuff, because that was a real important part of the movie.
Yeah, there's nothing in it besides like the viral shit, like with her throwing the coke can at her, like when they pulled out the phones. That's the only thing that would make it like grounded in the last 10 years. But besides that, everything else could have took place in any era in the last 20 to 30 years.
Yeah, it's pure capitalism.
Yes.
That's all.
It's very relevant.
This movie
is relevant in any
a satirical view of capitalism and what we deal with on a society basis. Now, the part that veers is the part we was talking about. If you've seen the movie, there's these fucking horse creatures that this company Worry Free has made to replace the prisoners. Now, the part I disagree with you that it has nothing to do with race. That is specific, because I got all of the imagery of horses and how they relate to black people, bucks, how the, you know what I'm saying, how they wanted to breed black people to make the strongest black people so we could work harder. Okay. Like, so that's all has to do with race, white supremacy.
Remember when his girl was he was riding his girl's back to the way to the protest?
Yeah, that was weird.
It was weird, right? But what do? You ride a horse. Remember when they first showed Mr. Blank, what was he doing? He ate an apple. What do horses eat? They eat apples. Sometimes, like, people feed them apples. When he sniffed the coke that turned him into a horse, what was on the plate? A horse. They were telling you the whole time, even like I said in the opening scene when he was like talking to the guy getting the job, he's like, oh, we're not remapping the human genome. They were telling you the whole time that they were making horse people. After he sniffed the coke, what do you say? Like, yo, I really gotta piss. When you really have to go pee, what do you say? I have to piss like a racehorse. Yes. There was a lot of symbolism leaning into that. And then even like I said, like when you work hard, they're like, oh, you're working like, they're trying to work you like a workhorse. You know, because you're bearing the burden.
Right.
So that's what I was going to. Like, you know, they were telling you the whole time that, like, that was going to happen. It was very clever and it was very, like, left field. Yeah, but throughout the whole movie, like, because this is my second time viewing it, throughout the whole movie, they were telling you that this was going to happen. That they were going to turn into horse people. Yeah, foreshadowing. There was a lot of foreshadowing in this whole movie. There was a lot of foreshadowing,
there was a lot of meta. But what I'm saying is even deeper than that. The part of where because you have to draw the parallels. Worry free is prison. Mm-hmm. The 13th Amendment is slavery. Is prison disguised. Slavery disguised as prison.
Yeah.
What they were trying to build was slaves, and what did they view us as? Workhorses. We were horses. We were bucks. We were thoroughbreds.
Big dicks, man. That's all.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's how
black
they.
People.
Yeah, that's the white supremacist thing.
Oh,
it's
the
like
big the big noses too.
The big noses. Yeah. That's all white supremacy. So say it's not race. That involves everything about.
It was very. It was very subtle. If this was any other movie, they'd have been like, oh, if the black people sniff this coke, they're gonna become the horse people. All right. This one, it was just like he even made a mention saying like, oh, only 70% of people turn when the process happens. Like they didn't. It wasn't. It wasn't exclusive to black people. It was anybody. Because 70% of people could have been anybody.
Yeah, but the overall thought of having a horse person being slaves with big dicks and fucking noses working in a factory is literally slavery. The slavery was the beginning of the movie.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying it's not like
it's not subtle.
It's not like outright telling you like this movie didn't treat you like you're stupid. Like you're thinking of it from an intelligent point of view. If you're the average moviegoer or average person, you'd be like, oh, okay, whatever. Like that's anybody. But like we know, I already knew when I watched it. Like, oh, okay, this is an allegory for black people.
So,
horse people is subtle.
We can agree to disagree.
Yeah, that's the subtlest form of slavery, form of fucking white supremacy I've ever seen. Like,
it could have been gorillas.
True, it could have been monkey people. Because they made a mention to saying that the horse people were stronger than normal human beings. It could have been monkeys. That would have been more in your face.
Well, no, because monkeys and gorillas, monkeys are different. That's the racist term. The literal term that they had for us was bucks, thoroughbreds, and Clydesdales, literal horses. Like, okay. So if you were talking about a slave person, you're like, oh, that's a good thoroughbred right there. That's a good workhorse. It's a buck breaking. Like, that's horse things. Okay. Gorilla is just, oh, he racist.
See, but I didn't know that.
You didn't know that's what they used to call us?
No, that nigga don't know.
He's not educated on that, so that's why I said the average. We're like, so as I was saying, we were looking at it in intelligent, in the know. We're looking at it in the know. Like I knew that was what they were getting at, but it wasn't in your face. You're saying like the deeper metaphors behind the horse people. Him not knowing it, didn't know that. But if, like, say for example, they returned to monkey people, would you think that like that's all black people?
Yeah, that would have been more clear.
But see, exactly. That's what I'm saying, because the monkey is more racist. It is more in your face. But when you talk about horses and how we've been attributed to them, it's a deeper meaning, but it's also in your face because they gave you a horse person with a swinging dick. Like they literally gave you that multiple times. So they're basically, because that's what they saw us as, something that we could breed into more Clydesdales, more thoroughbred, big strapping fucking African
A stallion.
stallions. Every fucking word we used to be called that. Now, if he doesn't know that, then you would be like, okay, it's more subtle. If you know anything about slavery and what they used to call us, then you'd be like, okay, that's not subtle. But he would get the monkey thing because that's more recent. It's more racist, recent terms.
No.
Flip the script. If it was like a white person, like this is like any other white movie. Like I feel like the fact that like it was black people in it, like it was a good movie regardless. But it wouldn't have had the same effect if it was like a mainly white actors and white.
Oh, they wouldn't.
scripts.
First of all, they wouldn't even be able to get away with this shit. if it
No,
was-
they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
That horse shit. That should have been on. Would have been on every fucking podcast. Everything, like they wouldn't have got away with that shit if it was white
No,
people.
not at all.
Like a black person had to tell that story
Yeah.
and make those type of.
That's what I mean. It had
metaphors.
to be a black person to make this movie. This movie couldn't have been made by a black writer, black director, any of that. I'm sorry, white director, white actor, white cast, none of that. It wouldn't have worked the same as it did with a black cast.
No, it'd be different. It'd be like, this is wildly offensive.
Yeah.
Just like the talking of, using your white voice, which a lot of people find offensive because it's like, talking white is that's not a voice. It's talking proper. It actually said in the, it's talking proper. It's not white because what we consider white to be is, pristine and they're better than everybody else. And it's like, no, really, the way they talk is just like British English. Like that's really what it is. It's not white.
But look, even with this girl, she made a mention when the Asian dude when she first met him, he was like, "Oh, Detroit." She's like, "Yeah, my parents wanted me to have an American name." And then what happened? You're saying like with the British pristine like talk. When she did the art show, she did her white voice. She had a British voice.
Yeah, she had a British.
So it's like funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah, because basically the movie was basically getting at that every person has their inside white voice when you're trying to sell some shit. Like,
And she was trying to sell some art.
She was
but
trying to sell some
her white voice
art.
was a British voice, but she went out of the way to say like, "Oh, Detroit, that's an interesting name." He's like, "Oh, my parents wanted me to have an American name." But her white voice was British. She was the only one who had a British voice. Everybody else had an American voice.
Yeah, you could get into another metaphor about how. Matter of fact, we do this all the time. I wanted my son to have normal, what's considered acceptable in white, society names. Like I didn't want to have like a Jamiroquai because we know with that,
Well,
we
same
know
here.
we lessen those, we lessen the chances of them having that. Like when we give them what we would consider traditional black names or something like that, so which we usually leave for the middle name. It's usually like Taylor, Malachi or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
My daughter's name is Angelica Monique, so she had Monique as the middle name.
Yeah.
She had Angelica as a white name. Well, the first name, I should say white name, but like that's an Italian name.
Yeah. Then what do we do when we have a phone interview or whatever?
And you say like, "Oh, my name is
Put on the
Jamiroquai."
white face.
Yeah.
We put on the white voice. You know what I'm saying? Because we like. It's not whether or not it's proper or not. You shouldn't go to no job interview talking about, "Yo, what's up, my nigga?" Like, obviously you're not gonna do that. But we don't even use our regular voice. We'd be like, I'd be like, yes, I'll be there at 5 o'clock. I'll do it at 5 o'clock. Yeah.
See you soon.
See you soon. Yeah,
Well,
I'll be
there's even
there.
a part where he was
I'll be
talking
there.
to Danny Glover when he was like, you gotta use your white voice. He's like, "Oh, I don't think it was, oh my god, I don't think it was in the Blu-ray. Actually, it was in the DVD. In the DVD, there was a couple scenes that weren't in the
No,
Blu-ray."
he said it in the movie. Keep going.
He did.
He said
When he
it.
was like, "Oh, when I talk to the cops, I'm like, no, nigga, like, this and that, like, fuck that." Like, he was like being sarcastic, but it's like, yeah, like he was like saying, use your white voice, talk proper. He like thought that like, oh, like this is the way I should talk. Like, when you talk to police, like, you don't say like, "Oh yeah, fuck that nigga." Like he was being sarcastic about it, but he was like basically saying like, yeah, sell out all the way. Like use that white voice, like talk white, be confident, be like, "Yo, I don't need this job. Like I have a mod." What do you say? Like what kind of car you say you have sitting outside?
No, he didn't say. He said
Ferrari. He said
A Ferrari.
he said
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Ferrari. Then he said some shit about I'm not worried about my bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my bills paid.
He
Like
said-
I don't need this job
He
at the end of the day.
he said talk like Will Smith, basically.
No.
Not
He
white
talks
boy.
like you
He
talk
said,
like
"Don't
Will
talk
Smith.
like white
Will
Will
Smith's
Smith.
proper.
Talk like something else, like
Yeah.
not the white Will Smith voice.
Like talk about how they basically talk in the way that white people think that they should be talking.
Right.
Basically say like how
Happy.
they
Happy.
talk compared to us.
Yeah,
I
happy.
guess you could say. Not even happy, just like, yo, I'm confident, like I have
No,
everything
but that's what
going
he
for
said.
me.
He said overall, he said happy.
Yeah. I
Black
guess
people
so.
don't have happy lives, motherfucker. Not in
Sure.
America.
Yeah, that's true.
But besides all that, I think like there was very good acting, very good directing. The only thing like that kind of like I think might have killed it because like going towards what you said, the cutscenes. Like I like the cutscenes. I thought they were very innovative. It was different. Like I know you didn't catch it at first, but I thought like
I was just confused because it went from the workplace. I thought they had like a little bar at the bottom or something.
yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
But like it was just cutscenes. It was like they were different. Which like like I said, like the guy he was a first time director.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was different. I really liked the cutscenes. There was a lot of things in there that like this movie did not scream that it was from like a first time director. To be honest with you,
No.
first time writer or director. There was a lot of things in there that I thought like were like on super bad level.
Very
And we all agree that super bad is like a great movie. Like there was things in there like that I think was on that level of writing and directing.
I got more of a Don't Be a Menace, like Keenan and Damon vibe with the amount of stuff that was in the background, the amount of, like the world that they built around.
Yeah, it was definitely like a long Chappelle show skit.
Well, less Chappelle because Chappelle's usually
more
in your face.
with the racial,
like
yeah,
Damon
yeah.
and
I got you, yeah, okay.
You know, they were always
The Wayans brothers.
behind the scenes, like stuff that you was catching, you was
Yeah.
picking up a lot of stuff, like a lot of
Keenan Ivory Wayans.
yeah, Keenan. A lot of the product placement was always trying to tell you something and explain the story. So I like that. I think it was a little bit too long for me. You know what I'm saying? I think it could have been shortened, especially since when you got to that half of the movie when the horse people came, I felt like they could have wrapped that up a little bit quicker. But then there was a couple, like I didn't get enough of Danny Glover. Like he only had like 2 scenes, and we didn't really get that much Terry Crews either. Like he was just like we didn't get goofy Terry Crews. Like we got one scene.
Served their purpose. I think that like it came down to the casting, because you see Terry Crews and you see Danny Glover, you expect for them to have a bigger role. Because, like, out of everybody in this movie, think about it, out of all the actors, who were the biggest names in that movie? Terry Crews and Danny Glover. But they played, like, the most minor roles. I think they served their purpose for their characters.
I don't think so, because I wanted to see more what was going on with the uncle. The uncle was going through dire straits. We didn't really saw that. We didn't see nobody packing the house up. We saw him by his car, and that was it.
It wasn't his story. That's why I felt it wasn't his story.
But we spent a lot of time on other characters too. We spent a lot of time on the Zuckerberg character. We spent a lot of time on Amari Hardwick's character. Like they could have had more scenes, is what I'm saying. We spent a lot of time in the freaking art gallery. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of those scenes could have been cut. And we could have got more Terry Crews, you know what I'm saying? I feel like they probably were cut.
I think
feel
they
like
cut it just because it wasn't part of like the overall vision of the movie.
I kind of feel like the whole movie was cast as a story, and everything else was like irrelevant. Like it was just going on around his
The problem I
day
have
to
with that
day.
is that his motivation was his uncle.
Okay.
That was the motivation of him even going to take the job higher than he was. You just said it was like, yo, his uncle was losing it.
Actually,
so why didn't we see that?
Actually, to argue that wasn't his motivation. Remember, he told his girl, "It's like, oh, I took the job in the first place to impress you, to be more."
I didn't believe that at all. When he said that shit, I was like, yo, that's some simp shit. Yo.
Yeah, I can't believe you brought that shit up,
so
man.
when he said that shit,
It was there. It was worth noting.
I'm trying to get some pussy tonight. That's what.
It was worth noting.
I did not believe that shit that he took that job.
We all used that line before the end of the fight.
It was worth noting.
I think they just threw them in there just to sell the movie, to be honest. Like, just throw in some big names just to help sell the movie.
Yeah, because what his I think the picture with his dad in it. That was the picture with his dad.
Yeah,
the picture with his dad didn't have more scenes than his uncle.
But the thing with the dad was, if you notice, every time it showed him, he was in a different pose because like it was showing like his approval of what he was doing.
Yeah, that's Damon Wayans, like Keenan. Subtleness.
You know what? That was very. I'm gonna get you, sucker.
Yeah,
we were talking about that. I was like, yo, he hasn't seen that. He has to see that next.
Oh yeah, he definitely got to see.
I got it on.
I got the DVD at home too.
You do? Okay.
But yeah, man. To wrap it up, I think it was a great movie. For me, I guess we just go through our final thoughts. To wrap it up for me, I think it could have been a little bit shorter, or if it was gonna be that long, I wanted to see Terry Crews a little more, throw him a scene or two there. But overall, it was a great movie. You know what I'm saying? Great buy if you're gonna see it in the movie theaters. It was an excellent movie. I'll definitely rewatch it. You know what I'm saying? And try to catch all the nuance and stuff. But I could foresee like that movie being played in like, you know, Black History classes, professors, you know, taking that movie and trying to break down all of the things, and even a social economic class could take that movie and break down the strikes and workers' relations and all that stuff. So anybody that would want to break down a movie, like this would be one of those, like you could break down and have like a thesis or, you know what I'm saying, something like that. But I think it was a good movie, you know what I'm saying, overall.
There's nothing really that's came out on that level since They Live.
Yeah, like I said, it was a newer version of They Live in a way.
Yeah. So great movie. Like I said before, a lot of symbolism. Represent a lot of the stuff that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, especially at the workplace. It's great, man. I think there should be more movies like this. So that's my thoughts. Go buy that. Don't bootleg it.
Well, like I said, I'm just tired of the remakes, the comic. Well, not really. Well, yeah, the remakes, the comic book movies, the based off of book, whatever. I'm just tired of that. Like, they need more original movies like this, and I feel like this could be like a cult classic type movie. Like 10 years from now, this could be like Another They Live. You know, like people 10, 20 years from now could view They Live as we did. That they came out like 1985, before any of us were born, but we still hold that movie as like one of the greatest. I feel like in another 20 years, people can hold this as like one of the greatest at that time, I guess you could say. It was like that cult classic following. It definitely has that. It was a good movie. Definitely see it at least once. You'll like it. If anything, like you'll get some good laughs out of it.
Let us know. You know, comments. If you watched the movie, did you like it? What other movies we should review? You know, give us drop a link, comment, or whatever, and we'll try to get to it. You know, as always, move with us. Stay posted. We out.